Welcome to the next episode of Design Patterns and Frameworks. So today we are going to discuss about design pattern case studies. So when we are learning design patterns, what we do is we discuss one design pattern and look at the possible cases, possible scenarios that can be covered from that particular design pattern. But in the real world, that is not how you get the problems. You get a problem, you need to find a solution. So when you're finding the solution, you need to find out what is the best design pattern. Best design pattern means there can be multiple design patterns, out of which what is the best design pattern that you should use. Sometimes it can be combinations of multiple design patterns, or it can be extension of existing design pattern, or it might be reducing some features of the selected design pattern. So you will see when it comes to providing a solutions to the problems, you have to go other way around, which is little difficult than learning design patterns. First important thing is you need to understand your problem first. Don't straight away go and try to find what the design patterns we should use. Instead, analyze your problem. You go and see what you are trying to achieve. What are the flexibility you can provide? What are the reusability, the features that you can provide? Look at the simplicity of your solution, performance of your solution. Very importantly, as a software developer, as an architect, you need to think about the future. You need to foresee the future of the current system. At least you should look at in 5 years' time what will happen. So when you are designing a software solution today, you need to foresee the future and you need to adapt the design for the future changes as well. Then you need to look at which part of the system should extensible or replaceable. As you know, during the very first lecture we discussed categories of design patterns: creational, structural, and behavioral. If I recall, creational design patterns are how you create the objects. What are the patterns that you can use to create objects? Structural design patterns are, for example, the creational design pattern examples are singleton design pattern and factory design pattern. Structural design patterns are how we discuss composition of the classes and objects. We discuss few structural design patterns: adapter, proxy, facade, decorator. Those are the structural design patterns that we discuss. Behavioral design pattern focus on communication or responsibility of all these objects and classes. We discuss chain of responsibility design pattern and state design pattern. So these are the basic guidelines for the design patterns that we have discussed. So we have discussed 9 design patterns. So for these 9 design patterns, these are the contexts that you can look into. Let's start from the first one, singleton. Very simple. If you want to create only one object, or if you want to create specific number of objects, single can be extensible. Configuration manager, database connection, captain of a team, where you have only one object. Factory design pattern, when the object creation logic is simple, or you want to hide the implementation details for factory, you can of the object, you can go to a factory design pattern. So those two are falling into creational design pattern. So you can see in these two, they are mainly focusing on object creation part. So next we look at another five design patterns on structural design pattern: facade, decorator, proxy, template, and adapter. So facade design pattern, when you want to simplify the complex subsystem with one easy to use interface. You have multiple websites which gives you different features. One is giving you the taxi details, another one giving you the hotel details, but you want to book a trip. That's all. That's all. So facade design pattern can be used. Decorator design pattern discuss when you need to add responsibilities dynamically without changing the existing code. Remember the example that we said: coffee, hoppers, so on and so forth. Proxy design pattern, probably when you want to control the access of an object, you can use proxy design pattern. Template, when you have a fixed flow. Remember salary calculation. You have a fixed flow, but the flow implementation can be different. So in that type of situation, we use template design pattern. Adapter design pattern, when you are working with two incompatible systems, you will use adapter design pattern. So those four design patterns are falling into structural design patterns. Then we discussed two behavioral design patterns: chain of responsibility and state design pattern. So chain of responsibility, when multiple handlers may process a request. Multiple handlers will be used to process a single request. State design pattern, every object can have multiple states. Depending on the states, your behaviors are different. So in that type of situation, we use state design pattern. Right. So what are another aspect that you can think? If the classes are changing oftenly, right? So look at the decorator design pattern or factory design pattern. If you want to isolate the dependencies, use facade or adapter. If you want different behaviors without rewriting the code, you can look at state or template. So you can see, depending on different behaviors, different cases, you can use specific design pattern. Now, always there should be a checklist. Once you select the design pattern, go and recheck. Will this pattern reduce coupling? Will this code make more understandable? Very important thing is code readability. Sometimes, if you are unusual, for example, if you use decorator design pattern, your code can be complex. So, your code is unnecessarily complex. And sometimes you will add extra abstractions. Too much of abstraction levels. For example, template design pattern. If you do not have multiple processors, why you should go for template design pattern? You can use one class to achieve, or one or two classes to achieve your objective, rather than going for multiple uh, rather than going for template design pattern, which you will end up with abstract classes and concrete classes. Okay, code smell, something we haven't discussed until up to now, which we'll be discussing in future. So if you have, so normally we call code smells, that is code smells gives you some help for you to select the proper design pattern. So for example, when it comes to object creation, if you use too many if and else, if this one create this object, if this one create this object. So that is obvious case for you to use factory design pattern. And if you have classes with too much of optional features, then go for decorator design pattern. Complex subsystems scattered everywhere, right? You have complex subsystems, one for taxi, another one for hotel booking, another one for trip organizing, another one for traveling. So you can go for facade design pattern. And if there are objects behaviors that are changing, because it depends on the state, so you will have a lot of if conditions again. So you can go for state design pattern. Look at the too many if and else. That's when it comes to object creations. So this one is when you have too many behaviors depending on the state, right? So both cases you will have too much if and else conditions, but first one you will be using for creation, object creation, when you are creating the objects. State design pattern will be used when you have too many methods. And if you have hard-coded multiple handlers, then use chain of responsibility. So basically, you define the problem first. This is sort of a guideline checklist. Then categorize your problem, whether this is a creational, structural, or behavioral. Then match the situation. Then look at what is the best design pattern. Always check the trade-off. As I have been keep on telling you, design patterns does not say that every time it is the best one. And then check whether it will really solve the problem. Ultimately, with this design pattern or whatever, our problem should be solved. Our problem should be solved, which we haven't. If we haven't done that, our objectives are not achieved. So we have to check whether that is the correct solution, whether we have achieved our objects. So in order to identify this, we are looking at the 7 case studies. One is online food delivery system. It's a system for ordering food online with restaurant integration payments and delivery tracking. So we have another smart home automation system, online management system, banking and ATM system, e-commerce shopping cart system. Then we have travel booking platform. Flights, hotels, cars can be extended to a few more as well. And online video streaming platforms such as Netflix and YouTube. So we'll be looking at these 7 cases in the coming lecture. So idea is select the best design pattern for each case. Hope you understand the importance of finding the better, correct, proper design pattern for a given case. Thank you very much.